All right, hello and welcome. My name's Shane Olson, and this is another live stream. This is part 3 of this wizard. So, yeah, let's get to it. Hey, Neil, how you doing? Let's see if this. Not sure if this chat thing is gonna work. I'm gonna move it a little bit. Yeah, we'll see if it works. I don't know. I can't see it showing your chat, so that's kind of weird, but yeah, I might just hide it. Yeah, I'll just hide it for now. All right, but I can see your chat, which is good. Okay, so last episode we left off, our wizarding hero was missing his hands. So I want to start out today by sculpting his hands. So we're going to just kind of ignore what's happening here. I'm just going to sculpt a hand and then put it into place and mirror it and then pose it. So that's kind of the idea here. So I'm going to pull up this floor. Actually, I'm going to, well, I was thinking about scaling him to the size that he should be, but I think I'm going to leave him this big in case I need to use Sculptris Pro, which if I do, I like to keep them big. So, but I am going to move him into place better. So I'm going to turn on move all subtools and see. Oh, looks like this one must be masked. Yep. Okay, we'll try that again. Move all subtools, and we're just going to kind of center him in place right here. And then we can move this down and we're good. Okay, so let's turn off the floor and then we're going to sculpt the hand. Right, let me hide this so I can just see what's going on here. All right, so to make this hand, I'm going to turn on the floor again, and then just because I want to kind of get it centered, and what I can do is go to subtool, append, and then I'm just going to append kind of a garbage shape like this star, and it's going to put it at 0, 0 down here. And can you guys all hear me? I think, can you hear me just fine, Neil? Is that okay? I'm going to select that star. And then if I select my insert multi-mesh brush, this one that has all my shapes, if I have my gizmo showing, I can pick one of these shapes and it will replace that star. So I'm going to replace it with a sphere. It does come in pretty small, so I'm going to scale it up. And now that's going to be our base. Let me just get this skin color. All's fine? Okay, cool. Okay, so this is the skin color, and now I'm just going to make the hand. So now I can hide everything. I'll solo this. What the heck is this? I must have just hit that for some reason somehow. Okay, solo. Turn on the gizmo again. And then I'm just going to snap this vertical and make, this is going to be the palm. So I'm going to make the palm skinny. And then I want to make his hand kind of like squarish. So I'm going to pull out these corners to make it a little more like a, what do they call that? It's like a cube with a sphere kind of mixed together, or a square with rounded, a squircle. That's it. It's a squircle. Oh, I'm trying to remember the name. But that's more of a 2D shape. What would a squircle be in 3D? I'm going to hit D to turn on dynamic subdivisions just so it looks smoother. And then we can start making some fingers and a thumb. And he's got 4 fingers, so not your typical 3 of a stylized character. I kind of want to smash this even more square. See how it's kind of it gets thin. If you look at it from the side, it's thick in the center. It gets kind of thin up here and thin down here. I do want that for the most part, but where the fingers connect, I want it to be kind of thicker. So I'm going to take this clip curve brush and just kind of squish it down. And how this clip curve brush works is it's going to take everything on that gradiated side of that line, and it's going to squish it down to that white dotted line like this. And now I kind of have a big flat area for the fingers to live. Okay. And the hand is made up of arcs, so I'm going to bring the arc back in. That's why I like the sphere so much. It's kind of because it kind of keeps an arc. Okay. So now that I have this, I'm going to insert another sphere. Let's just make let's do the first finger, I guess. And again, I want this to be kind of a square circle, like a squircle thing. And then, so we're going to get this down here. And I want to kind of bury it into the hand eventually. But for now, what I'm going to do is just kind of flatten these edges. And I can do that with the H polish brush, which is B. So the code, the brush code, I like to call it a code. The brush code for that is B, H for H polish, and then P for polish. And you can see it up in this corner right here. Sometimes if you have your keyboard, you can be much faster on your to get your brushes if you have your left hand on your keyboard. So that way I can just kind of hit each side and just kind of flatten it out like this. You just kind of have to be careful that you don't make any, see how it's kind of being tapered here. Gotta kind of go back a little bit. There we go, that's better. And then just kind of flatten this top and the back and the front. And then just kind of, oops, I got smooth too fast. So I'm going to turn the smoothing down. I'm just going to kind of smooth out these edges that I made. Okay. I can also just kind of flatten the bottom here. It's kind of like a dice. Reminds me of a dice. So, and I kind of want to make it longer than it is wide. And you don't have to be perfect. You just kind of have to just work at it and get it in there. And then once we get the fingers merged together, there's more sculpting that needs to happen. So what the heck? Strange. So, wonder if that's talking about, I just got a notification saying you currently do not have an active public live stream on YouTube. I think it's talking about my vertical. Weird. And now it's just saying that that now it's connected. I don't understand what's happening. Maybe it's glitching out for a second. But it says I have 16 viewers now. So, and welcome everybody. Is there anybody new here yet? I'm just wondering if you all have watched me before, or are you new? I'm just curious. Okay, so we have the single finger, and then we're gonna make, I'm just gonna make this a double knuckle guy. So I'm gonna give this shape, just gonna kind of park it here and turn it just a little bit to give him that knuckle. And he's got some fingernails, so I'm gonna give him some fingernails. And thank you for liking it, by the way. Anybody who's liked the video so far. It really does help the algorithm, so I appreciate it. Okay, so now that I have the second finger, what I'm gonna do is, now I can do my Sculptress Pro stuff. And the reason why I want to turn to Sculptress Pro now, a lot of people are like, well, when do you do it? When do you turn it on? What's going on? And what leads me to tell me I'm ready to turn it on is as soon as I don't have enough geometry to do what I want to do. I mean, I could do this old school with like with the ZModeler brush. Maybe I'll do it that way this time. I usually use Sculptress Pro and I just sculpt it. But sometimes there's there could be a time when you don't want to do that. So let's put them in their own groups. This is reaching back. Gosh, I got something in my eye. Sorry. This is reaching back to when I was a polygon modeler, and those skills still they still work. So I'll show you how to do this. I'm going to go to the ZModeler brush, and then I'm going to hover over a square, change this to poly group, and a single poly. And what we're going to do is we're going to assign a handful of these to a new poly group. And I'm just going to put them where I'm going to actually keep his nail kind of, they're really thin down here, like he chews his nails. So a wizard that chews his nails. So I'm going to pull, I'm just going to select the area that I think should be his nails. Okay, so we got this knuckle. Well, knuckle is here, and this knuckle. That's when I was saying a double knuckle. I'm going to ignore the end one. Okay. And now that we have this, what we can do is extrude this poly group. So if we go extrude, and then we say poly group all, that's going to put an extrusion on that poly group like this. So I'm going to extrude it up like so. But I want to inset it, and I could choose inset inside of the, here, let's go back and see what that does. So if I go inset polygroup all, it does give me some options down here, like center and border, or border only, or center only. Let's see what it does. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. But what it's doing though is, see, sometimes it'll give me these extra bits. So inset is not always the way to go because it's unpredictable. And so what I would rather do is extrude it and then scale it down. So yeah, is it just me or are you guys quiet today? I think the only person that said anything is Neil. So if you're here, say hello, welcome. If you have any questions, let me know. Extrude, polygroup, I just want to make sure chat's working. See, I'll extrude this up and see how it doesn't shrink these edge faces, and it also doesn't give me that weird triangle thing that it was giving me before. So to shrink this, all I have to do now, or scale it down, is go to my gizmo, hold down Control, tap on the surface, and then, hey, Brad's here. How you doing, Brad? Yay, people. Hello. Welcome. I like how it's giving me multiple colors. Let me see if it's, oh, it's still, I don't understand why. I'm using this thing called Meld Studio instead of OBS. What I was trying to do, because I also stream over on the Maxon channel, but it's kind of a pain to unhook the Maxon streaming and then rehook up my YouTube. So I was just trying to be smart and separate them out, you know? So I could just use Meld Studio to stream on my channel and then use OBS to stream on Maxon. Hey Emma, how are you? Yeah, I was trying to be smart about it, but and it's cool. Here, I'll have to show you. It's pretty cool. So this is what it looks like. See, I'm seeing this great chat and it's all colored, but I want to be able to like highlight some of these comments like StreamYard does. But StreamYard is expensive for what it is, like really expensive. So I kind of want to not use StreamYard. Okay. Anyway, I'm I'm shrinking this down. And then here's a trick you can do, is you can like turn your camera to the side, and then we're going to rotate this up, scale it out, and then kind of pull this forward. Well, I don't know if I want to nail that big. Okay, and then just kind of bury it in there. And what that does is it gives me the nail and also, what do you call it? The cuticle, where it's kind of buried down in here. So when I turn on dynamic subdivision, you'll see that it gives me this kind of creased out area. Oh, yay, Emma. That's awesome. So Emma's saying, got a call from my old job today offering me a 2-month contract, so I won't be broke soon. Yay. That's awesome. Well, I hope it lasts longer than 2 months. But that's great. Okay, so I'm pulling this down in. Creative Earthian, thanks. Cheers. And I can hide the wireframe if I want to, and you can see how the mask is working here. And you can do that. You don't have to do this with polygonal sculpting. You can also do it with, like, when you're just sculpting with, say, Sculptress Pro, or if you're using another program like Blender or Nomad, you can just use your sculpting tools to do this too, like mask it off, you know, and just kind of tilt it like that. And I'm just kind of bringing up that nail bed just so it has an arc to it. And I can also bury the corners. The more you bury the corners, I don't know, it just looks cool. And his nails are kind of squared off, but not this square. So I'm going to clear that mask and then just kind of round out this back edge here like that. See, things don't have to be as complex as a lot of people think they are. You know, it's kind of like mask, bury, rotate, done. So here's this fun little nail. And you can use this new poly group that you have to color it with if you want to make that lighter. And he's got like more of a pinkish color on his skin tones. There we go. Grab that color. And I'm not going to connect. I might connect the finger, the front finger to the back finger really quick, but I'm not going to merge it to the hand yet because I want to duplicate it across here. But yeah, these are kind of bugging me because they look like you know when you take bubble gum, like Bubblicious or something that's really big, and you just kind of squish it with your fingers first. That's what this reminds me of. I don't know why. Ugh. And then I want to shape these a little bit better too. So let's just do that. Let's combine these two. So I'm going to, I can't remember if it's here, let me save this off. Anytime I do something like this where there's a potential for crashing, I will always like save it first. Because I can't remember if you hide it or mask it off to do this. Stream health, excellent. Oh, okay. I forgot to hit low latency, so I think we're at the full 20 seconds of waiting before before I see your comments or before I answer your comments. So it might seem like I'm ignoring you and I'm not. It's just a 20-second delay. I think it's faster to talk to astronauts on the moon than it is to stream on YouTube. Oh, okay. So let's try it out. I want to combine these two, and how I do that is go to this gear and click on Remesh by Union, and it doesn't do it. Okay, looks like it has to be masked, not hidden. So let's invert this and mask the palm off. Whoops, come on. There we go. Now we'll try it. Remesh by Union. There we go. Okay, see how it stitched these together, but not these? So it respects masking. Come on, apply. Accept, I guess. This might be a weird question, but could you explain how to optimize models for games hard surface? I only learned to model for film and don't know if I should just decimate the high poly or not. No, that's not really how to do it. So that's a really, really big involved question on how that works. And I have a whole entire course teaching exactly how to do it. So I mean, I can give you a short answer. Hey, what's up, Sammy? So the short answer is you need to retopologize it, typically. And the main difference between film and games are the games have to be a little lower resolution, and they're not meant to be subdivided. And you use normal maps rather than displacement maps. Yeah, so, and then you use UDIMs. Sometimes, I mean, games are starting to use UDIMs as well. UDIMs are just UV mapping coordinates where you can split up your model into multiple map coordinates so you can get larger maps. But yeah, it's pretty, like I said, it's pretty involved to explain. But if you are interested in, like, in my course, it's a full like course teaching you how to do game characters from start to finish. So if you are interested in that, you can go check it out. There are links in the description. It's just called the 3D Character Workshop, and you can check it out. But I walk you through like 2 full game characters in there. Okay, I'm gonna smooth this out. I think what I want to try and do is remesh this. Let's just check it out and see what it looks like. I'm going to turn off dynamic smoothing, and then we're going to just keep it the same. So keep groups. I'm turning smooth groups to 0. And then I'm going to turn this to same, so it keeps the same poly counts, and then just hit ZRemesher and see what it gives me. Ugh, yucky. Why? I'm going to try smoothing it just a little bit and see what I get. That's better. It's still kind of garbage, but it's better than it was. And then I'm going to try and do it one more time. There it goes. Okay, that's better. Okay, why isn't my smooth working anymore? I guess it is, just slowly crank up the power. Yeah, sure. Sorry, I couldn't go into a deeper explanation with it. Like I said, it's very involved. I wonder why your comments or your chat is doubling up. Let me try something. I'm gonna go. Okay. Cancel. Okay, I gotta figure out the vertical video thing. But for now, we're good. Okay. Okay, so this is where we're at with this finger now. And now we can duplicate it. And then we'll just kind of move it around. And what I like to do is put some space in between these. Like kind of like this, maybe even more. I'll give him, and then I'll fix the palm to match. And then we can, let's scale up this middle finger a bit, duplicate it. Yeah, his palm's going to be much wider. I'm going to run out of palm right now. Let's rotate this in. Scale it back down to where the index finger is. I kind of like to make the ring finger just slightly smaller than the index finger. And then duplicate it again. Leave some space. And this one's much smaller. And give it an arc. Like so. There we go. And proportion-wise, usually the palm is the same length as the finger. So that's kind of a guideline you can follow. And the palm can be as wide as you want, really. Typically it's kind of square, but with stylized characters you can adjust that proportion and get away with it. And I kind of like to taper the palm so it's narrower down here and wider at the fingers. And then we're going to just grab and inflate and run it along these knuckles, just so the fingers can be kind of buried in there. So Sene, is that how you say your name? Sene? Are you new to my stream? I'm just curious. I don't think I've seen you before. If you are, welcome. Even if you aren't, welcome. Just kind of smoothing this out. I like these chunky fingers. I think I might make this palm just a little bit thicker. And then what I like to do on the underside is, now I'm going to do, let's see, I need to arc these a little bit more. But what I'm going to do is, I think I am going to use Sculptus Pro on this palm because I want to get a little bit of detail going on down in here. So I'm going to turn on Sculptus Pro, make sure the stroke, the adaptive size is turned off. Let's test it out. A little too dense. That's better. I think that's actually good. We're just going to flood fill that. There we go. Okay, see how these are kind of not lined up too well, especially that middle finger. I'm just going to grab this. Oh, looks like they're all in the same polygroup. So I'm trying to decide, I want to keep those polygroups because they're split right at that knuckle. So what I'm going to do is I want to make new polygroups. So this is going to be a minute. I'm just going to isolate these, do auto groups, isolate these, do auto groups. And then the fingernails and the cuticles. Now here's the thing with ZBrush and selecting stuff. You need to select a vert. A vert is like these points. So since these cuticles are one single edge loop, what I would have to do in order to select that or isolate it is I would either have to go to the select lasso, hold down Control and Shift, and then click on an edge, which will hide it, and then I invert it, and see it just doesn't, it's not great. because it stops at the poles when I do that. So here, let me kind of explain it better. Let me just grab this little drawing tool. Okay. So essentially, if you grab a vert right here, it's just going to isolate this yellow bit. Okay. If I grab a vert on this green area, it's going to isolate the green. But there's no, if I select a vert here, it's going to isolate both the yellow and the purple, right? Both together. So either I need to make another edge loop in here to give me a vertice that's right in the middle of this island, or I isolate this and then hide the yellow. That's what I'm going to do. So so let's see. I'm gonna hide here. Let's go back to this square like this. It's kind of a pain. And then hide the fingernails. See that? I'm going to turn on double so you can actually see it. There we go. And then hide these fingers and hide the palm. And there you go. That's kind of a pain in the butt to isolate all those, but that's what you got to do. Hit auto groups, and there we go. Now everything is in its own group. Okay, so now I can select the middle finger. And I'm just going to grab each one of those groups and then mask everything off. And then just show that middle finger. So all of that, that effort, just to grab this and twist it a little bit like that so it's flat. Just want to express my deep appreciation for you being with us and back to living fully again. Oh, thank you so much. Had no idea what you've been going through or been through battling that disease. Yeah. It wasn't pleasurable, but I'm feeling so much better now. I really appreciate that, though. Yeah, those of you who don't know, when everybody else was getting diagnosed with COVID, I was getting diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a blood cancer. And they don't really know how people get it or where it comes from or whatever. Some people have their theories, but I've tuned in before on the ZBrush channel, but this is the first stream on your channel. I recently graduated in special effects, but think about pivoting to games since there's more work that interests me. Oh yeah, there you go. Very cool. Yeah, I've worked in games for 25 years. That's kind of, let's see, BHP is what I need. Oh, come on. BHP, I kept hitting the wrong thing. I'm going to turn off sculpt just for a minute. I'm just kind of flattening out this palm area or the knuckle area, and then on the side just to blend things together. Anyway, I did, I don't know if you guys want to know, but I thought I'd share. I haven't shared any of this really, but I went through 6 rounds of chemo, including an extra dose of methotrexate, if you guys know what that is, which was really strange because I had to get, my system had to be alkaline for that to work. So I had to take baking soda pills, like a lot of them. And that was weird. That was a weird experience. And the reason why is because I guess methotrexate can crystallize in your system. And they want to make sure that it gets all out of your system and doesn't crystallize, because that can essentially kill you. HP. And the reason I had to have it is because I had some nerve damage in my shoulder. And so they wanted to take care of it, and it did take care of it. So like, yeah, I had all this nerve damage right here in the shoulder. I wrecked on my mountain bike, and I don't know if it pinged it or made it worse or not, or I don't know. You never know. But all I do know is that it worked. So hooray for that. And my latest scans showed that it worked really, really well. Come on, there we go. I was like, where are the fingers? But that's why I kind of stopped streaming for a little bit, just so I could recover, and also I was a little burnt out, to be honest. I streamed every Monday for like 6 years, 7 years, something like that. It was a lot. I loved it, but I got a little burnt out. Okay. I just want to isolate this guy because he feels a little high here. So I'm bringing this down. Thanks, Sene. I appreciate it. Is that how you say your name? I'm sorry if I'm destroying it. Okay, let's get the thumb in. I kind of want to square off these fingernails more, and they're sticking out too far. So I'm going to shrink those. Shrink those in just so they're more, or just so they're reduced, I guess is the word. Oh, I keep my mic. Yeah, something like that. Square them off. This one's pretty square. It's because I scaled it down. Kind of want to shrink these more too, so they're not so tall. Just little nubby fingernails. There we go. Much better. And then these knuckles will appear when I bend them. You can kind of see the difference of direction down below, but you won't really see them until they're bending. Why is that doing that? There we go. So when I have topological on, I can, whatever I grab first is what's going to move first. I think this pinky is a little too short. Okay. Kind of looks like a fingerless glove in a way. Okay, let's duplicate this pointer finger and turn it into a thumb. And you'll notice, like, if I have something that has multiple polygroups, like this finger, it's much easier to really think about, it's kind of a puzzle, and think about how to show and hide and mask so you can actually get to that finger and manipulate it easily. And so for me, if I want to like duplicate this finger, see it has 1, 2, 3, 4 polygroups, right? So what's the best way to move that? And a lot of people will go, either they'll hide this piece, then this piece, then this piece, then this piece, you know, and then maybe mask this off, and now I can move it, right? But it's quicker for me if I just get this palm out of the way. So I hide the palm, and then I just mask off this finger, but I'm utilizing the straight edge of the mask lasso tool. Because if I have this, this other one picked, this pen one, it just gives me a rectangle. And sometimes I can select it, but sometimes it would cross over here, and I wouldn't be able to select this on a diagonal angle like this. So if I use this mask lasso, I can start over here with this point and go around this direction, and see how it's got that straight edge along there? I'm going to pull that straight edge all the way down and use that to sneak in between the two of these. Okay, and now I have that one finger selected. I can unhide the palm and then just hold Control and tap on the background and flip the mask around. So for me, that's just much faster than to like click, 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 hide this finger. And then I can duplicate it off like this. And then it's going to become my thumb. So with the thumbs, I like to drop them down and tilt them, and also turn them to 3/4, like a diagonal like this. So when you're looking at it like this, it looks right. And what I also think about when I'm doing a hand is I look at the tips of the fingers and then the tip of the thumb, and I imagine where it's placed that way. What are you saying? You should round the hand part where it meets the fingers a bit to make the fingers longer and look more natural. I'm making them look stumpy on purpose, but I appreciate the feedback. See, he has these really stumpy fingers, kind of square and squatty. So that's what I'm after. I might make this pinky still feels short, but this palm is still too long. Like I said, the palm length is about the length of your finger, but I'm making this whole hand squatty. So I'll get there. I'll get there. But thank you. Okay. So yeah, with the palm or with the thumb, I'm gonna put it down here like so. About like that. Something like that. And then I'll make a third piece out of a sphere, and I'll hook it up and make that the thumb connection here. But I just duplicated this, meaning that the polygroups are also getting duplicated. So what I'm going to try and do is isolate each of these pieces and put it in its own polygroup like this. And isolate this one. Control W puts it in its own. Isolate this one. And then this cuticle thing. Like that. Okay, now they're all in their own individual polygroups. And then now that I have kind of that thumb in place, I can rearrange this palm to be even shorter and then pull this down. Like you were saying, creative, like, yeah, making this kind of rounder. Like that. I think that's what you're talking about. Okay, and now I'll put that sphere in here. And this is like, this is what I like to call the thumb meat. It's like this extra kind of where the thumb connects underneath, and it creates this extra, what am I trying to say? Extra volume. Rounding the purple piece, yep. Okay. And then, and I like to do what Stan Prokopenko from Proko.com, he likes to call this the hand butt. See, if I call them funny names instead of what they're actually named, people tend to remember them more. Because we're not surgeons, we're artists, and we're having fun, right? Yep, thumb meat connected to the hand butt. Then you'll remember. Okay, and then he's only got one cheek, so let's put the other cheek in there. Let's invert this and put it in its own polygroup. And then let's get here. Squish this on down and bury it. Looks like I have about 22 people watching today. That's not too bad. Welcome, everybody. If this is your first time catching me, my name's Shane Olson, and I've been sculpting for games and collectibles, stylized characters for about 25 years. Man, it's probably been like closer to 27 now. It's a long time. I feel old. But I love it. There we go. Hand plus hand. But I'm going to give him a wrist now. And I think I'm going to merge everything soon. I'm going to make a little more space between these fingers, maybe. Let's see if I want to do that. I think we're good. I'll just thin these out just a little bit. Whoa, what is that from? Looks like I have an extra piece here. Oops. I don't know where this came from. Why it's there. It's like, oh, you know what? It was probably like masked off or something. But I can do auto groups like this. And that will put it in its own group. And then I can isolate it, hide it, and then say delete hidden. And there it goes. Problem solved. But sometimes, yeah, sometimes you'll get little rogue pieces like that. Okay, so now that we have this, let's try connecting it all together. Well, let me give him an arm first. So I'm going to pull this out and then push it in to make it like an elongated sphere like this. And then I can grab this clip curve brush and just kind of squash the ends like this. Because I have the mask on, it's not going to affect the hand itself. The Choco Doll, I've been watching your streams the entire past year. Bought your 3D character course last January, worth every cent. Oh, hey, how are you? This is Mila. Yes, my username on YouTube is weird. No worries, how you doing? Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I like offsetting the wrist like so. I don't like putting it right in the center. Sometimes I will, but I like offsetting it. And I learned that from Iron Giant. Like the characters in Iron Giant, you should see their designs. They're very offset and I love it. Doing good, thanks. I'm glad you're doing better too. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it really kind of opened your eyes, I guess, to, it makes you kind of realize how precious things are, you know? And thankful and all that, you know? Okay. If I talk about it too much, I'll get all sobby. All right, I think I want to actually move that wrist over even more. Oh, looks like the wrist and this thumb butt are in the same polygroup. So let's do auto groups when they're isolated. And then let's re-mask this off and push it even further. I kind of like to have the line go from the edge of the pinky all the way down the palm all the way to the wrist. And I'll clean that up and make it even more apparent when after I merge these things together. I mean, I could do it now. I'll show you a little trick you can do, which is you can grab the H polish brush and just kind of run it across all of these all at once, as long as they're in the same, everything's in the same subtool. So say you want to, like, you know, square this off and square it into this, and then square it into the arm. And you also have the option to hold down Alt and pull the geometry up to meet the brush instead of using the brush to push down into the material. And then you can come back in with smooth and smooth it back down. Let's see how it creates that really nice square. You can kind of do it here as well with the thumb. You just have to be careful when it's like when the corner is too tight, like going from this thumb meat right here into the wrist and then into the arm down here, because this is a little too sharp. It's like running a penny along the edge, you know? So if it's too sharp, it's not going to go, it's not going to turn, and it'll actually make a divot like that. You don't want that. I really like using the H polish to kind of square things up. It works a little better when you're when you have a higher density of geometry. Then you have more polygons to work with. Okay, now that I have everything in place, I can see the bigger picture, and I kind of want to I like how wide the hand is, but it's a little too wide. I'm just going to shrink that just a bit to make it more normalized. Not too much, just slightly. And now I'm going to merge everything together and use Sculptris Pro to clean it all up. Okay, before I do, I'm just going to grab this hand button, pull it down a little bit. Okay, do you guys have any questions while I'm rolling through this? I like to make my thumb swoop. Like, pull this way down. Pull the knuckle up. Get that swoop. Same with the bottom side. Just get that thumb meat in there. Thumb meat. Okay. Now, when I do this next step, it is going to ruin my nice edge loops for my fingernails and stuff, but I'm not too concerned about it. Because it's more important to smooth everything out and clean it all up than it is to keep those edge loops nice. See, a lot of people get hung up on that too. They're like, I need to keep my topology nice, you know, when it's the art that matters, the topology matters less. Great topology can come later. Hold on a second. My son's just telling me Ozzy passed away today. That's not fun. Hope you're not just hearing it from me the first time, but yeah, I think they did that tribute concert, you know, and it's like now he has permission to move on. Kind of said his last hurrah. can't ZBrush just Boolean merge like Nomad so fingernail topology stays intact? Yeah, I can actually. I can. But here, let's just do it and I'll show you. I'm going to do save as. Okay. So yeah, if I can be like this, but what I usually like to do is have similar density across everything. So I like to remesh everything, but in this case, I think it's fine because I'm just gonna Sculpt as Pro it anyway. And Nomad has dynamic topology, which I use all the time. But okay, here we go. So if I go into this gear and click on, oh, come on, and click on remesh by union, that's how it stitches it. So I'll hit accept and you can see. And yeah, see how it didn't mess up the topology of these fingers. But where it stitched it, it did add triangles, which I can leave the fingertips alone. I don't have to like stomp them with Sculpt as Pro. And when I say Sculpt as Pro, it's just dynamic topology. Blender has it, Nomad has it. Yeah, so I can turn that on, and then I can just kind of run. If I can keep away from this, let's get a smaller brush so I don't accidentally stomp it. And then just kind of flood fill these areas. Yeah, see, sometimes it gives me this crap. And see, I'm kind of keeping it low resolution, so that way, see this seam now? I can turn up my intensity on my smooth brush, and now I can just smooth that right out. And all these seams that it creates. Like this. And then I can smooth out this craziness and these knuckles and this, all this stuff. And sometimes I'll cut it back in, but oh gosh, there it goes. That's why you save, kids. Oh my gosh. All right, hold on. I knew it. I had a gut feeling. I knew it. And you know why? The reason I did it, the reason it crashed is because I had dynamic subdivisions on while I was working with Sculptress. That's why. So, let that be a warning to you. Whenever you turn on Sculpt as Pro, you want to turn off dynamic subdivisions. I kind of wish it would automatically shut off as soon as you turn that on. Maybe I'll make that a suggestion. Okay, ZBrush, where are you? I might have really killed it. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Oh gosh. Come on, where are you, ZBrush? I wonder if it's still running in the background. Oh, here it comes. No, I'm okay. The beta rolled out. Hold on. You didn't hear me say that. Let's see. Got to pick the right one. Here we go. Okay. Come on, ZBrush. You can do it. There we go. Yeah. The most recent session. Okay, let's see. It's 45, 46. This one. There you go. Okay, this all. I'm afraid to think how it can get when working with really heavy sculpts. This one should have been light work, especially for the software that costs so much. No, it's not about that. It's about dynamic subdivisions with Sculpt as Pro. So this is, Nomad does not have dynamic subdivisions. So it doesn't really run into that problem because it can't. But see how this is turned on right here? this is like a preview of what multi-resolution is going to look like. It's actually kind of like, if you've used Blender, it's like adding two modifiers in one. It gives you a thickness modifier if you turn that part of it on, or it will, well, or it will subdivide your mesh, but only in a preview kind of a way. It's not actually subdividing it, and I do wish Nomad had it because it's a phenomenal feature. But the thing is, let me get my little handy dandy drawing thing out again. Okay, and I'll just kind of show you an example of when you subdivide, you have a face like this, and when you subdivide, it's going to subdivide that face into 4 new faces. So it's going to time or multiply your density by 4 every time you hit that button, right? If you have triangles, which are exactly what Sculptris Pro generates, see, versus quads like this, what happens is it's going to subdivide it out like this, okay? And then once you subdivide that, then it subdivides this by 4, like that, even more. And it just gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And when it's trying to do that live while you're sculpting, it just doesn't have the processing power to handle it. So it'll just choke. So you just turn it off, and then it works just fine. Neil, I know, shush. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to do it again without dynamic turned on, and we should be just fine. Now I got to go in here and go to stroke, turn off adaptive. That's too dense. There we go. That's too light. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily blame the program for that. That's user error right there. Just kind of just soften up and flood filling each of these pieces that I want to merge together, and it will also give me a better merge result. The Choco Doll, I used to use 3D Maya so much that saving every minute or so because my habit, even for ZBrush, can't stop the saving habit. Maya trauma. Yeah, yep. It's not still stitched. No, I have to restitch it. But before I do, I'm going to, oh, it looks like the fingers aren't stitched either. Okay, it rolled it back that far. You know what? I'm glad you caught that, Neil. I'm gonna load my latest. Here, let me move this up here. I don't want to accidentally show something that I shouldn't. Let's see if this is any later. Is this one stitched? No. I think I stitched it after I saved it. I must have. Okay. Weird. Yeah, Maya is the most crashiest crashier. Yeah, so is Blender though, to be honest. Blender crashes so much for me, especially on Control Z with add-ons. Ugh. Man. Like a lot of add-on creators don't really, I don't know if they know how or don't work that you know, Control Z into their add-on, so it just, when you do it, it just crashes. Okay, I'm gonna turn the Z intensity way down, probably to 0. How's that? To smooth these fingers out. And I'm not smoothing them out, I'm just adding denser geometry so it holds on to all that information. Okay, there we go. This is pretty good. Now we can stitch these together. Stitchy Lou, and say accept. Okay, now let's take a look. See, it's a much better stitch result right there. And now what I can do is go over these edges, and I'm going to crank up the smoothing so that I can smooth all these knuckles out and make them look nice now. So there is an interesting thing with Nomad versus ZBrush. The voxel remesher that ZBrush has is called Dynamesh, and it was really great in its time, but over time, other software has kind of come in and kind of perfected on it a little bit, I guess I would say. And what I mean by that is the Dynamesh is a guess. It's like a shot in the dark. When you choose the density that the Dynamesh is going to be, there's no indication of how small or tight your polygons are going to be. It's just a guess. It's a number, right? With Blender, you have a checkerboard that's on a kind of a flat plane that's floating above the surface of your model, so you can get a really good idea of the density that it's going to be when you go to voxel remesh it, right? It's just called remesh inside of Blender, and inside of ZBrush it's called Dynamesh. Inside of Nomad it's called voxel remesh. You know what? I'm gonna go denser with this a little bit. There we go. Just kind of, it is going to smooth these knuckles out, but then I can pull them back out just because I want the smoothness on these tips. I'm spending this whole stream just making this hand. Sorry about that. Autosave has saved me a few times. Yeah. Like, it saved me so much when I was working at Disney too. Just so much. Okay, so I'm gonna hit, I'm gonna do it right now. Save as Wizard 5. Okay. Just gonna kind of smooth these little bumpies out a little bit. And then I really want to see this. I don't want this notch in here. So there's a really cool brush in here called Fill. I love this brush. It started as an SK brush, so props to SK. SK is another streamer on the Maxon Live channel. He has a very similar brush, and it's just a very subtle clay buildup brush without all the extra noise that comes with the clay brush. The clay brush is not great for stylized characters. It just makes a mess. But if you want all these brushes right here, I give them away for free over on my website. The link's in the description, and Neil just added another link in the chat. So if you want to go check those out, I give them away for free. Just grab those. So see, I can build up this knuckle meat up here. Knuckle meat. Okay, now that I have this hand, I'm going to kind of reshape it just a little bit. I'm going to pull this out square. And see, it still has, see how it's casting a shadow right here? I don't want that. So I gotta really smooth it down. I love how in Nomad you can crank the smooth beyond 100% and make it a super smooth brush. ZBrush has that too, but it's a separate brush that you have to go get. called Smooth Stronger. So if you want Smooth Stronger, you open up your lightbox, which is the comma key, and you go to the brush menu, the brush folders right here, and you see all these brushes. There's one called Smooth. It's Stitch. Where's Smooth? Right here. So if you go into the Smooth folder, there's all these different types of smooth brushes. I like Smooth Direction right here, Smooth Directional. That means you can smooth along the peak of like a mountain, and it will just smooth the edges down and keep the peak. And there's also Smooth Peaks and Smooth Valleys, which is nice. But there's one called Smooth Stronger, and it's literally just smooth but stronger. So if you need something like that, and usually you need it when your mesh is really dense and you want to smooth it out, you need to use Smooth Stronger. All right, I'm just kind of smoothing this out a little bit more. Use this fill to build up this wrist some more. And fill can also be used as a scrape brush. And the way you use it is you hold down Alt and it will like scrape. It's almost like the H polish, but in a little, it acts a little differently. See, I'm kind of scraping off the top edge of all this stuff. Then I can grab this gather brush, which is essentially a pinch, but I can't name it pinch because there's already a pinch brush. And just do a subtle knuckle plane change along this top edge right here. Oh, that's right, Neil. I gotta get that in there. So Smooth Stronger should be right here, but it's not. Yeah, I need to get that in there. Neil, I need to talk to you about this too after we're done here. I think I've landed on my final what I want it to look like. I think I am going to get rid of this retop brush. I just don't use it. And I think well, I can't say. If I put it in there, it's just going to be putting it in to take it out. How's that? That's all I'm going to say. And then this key, I think I'm going to get rid of it looks like a cowboy hat. I'm going to get rid of the brim and just keep the key. And I think what I want to do is make it so it's not just a box that has a taper. I think I want to make like a little bit more detailed key so it has a direction, kind of like a pumpkin lid when you're carving pumpkins. You know how you put a notch in the lid so you know what direction it goes. I've ran into that problem with keys where you don't know the direction, so I was going to shape it just a little bit differently so it has direction. I'm just adding some hard edges, and then I like to smooth them down. Just kind of tightens things up a little bit. Squares them out, makes it look cleaner, more intentional, less wobbly. You can also put a line on the inside too if you want. Then you can also put them on bottoms of these fingers. You just got to be careful with gather because it really pulls geometry like a black hole. I like to gather it and then loosen it back up with smooth, because I don't want a really sharp edge right there. I just want the light to kind of fall around it. Okay. I think we're good. We can duplicate it, mirror it, pose it, all the things. I think I'm pretty happy with that hand. Okay. So let's duplicate it so we can keep it for later. His eyeball. Okay. Duplicate, hide the original. Put the gizmo down at the wrist. It's really big. Okay, I lost my image when we crashed, so let's bring that back. There you are. Okay, then we just click on. Now this is something I didn't realize. I had to actually ask Paul Gabry about it. I'm like, why is my image grayed out, Paul? See this? It's grayed out. He said, well, do you have a sculpting brush selected? And I didn't. So I have to select a sculpting brush first, and now it's available. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. So if you ever find yourself locked out of adding the image, that's probably why. Okay. And then you make sure that spotlight projection is turned off. All right. I think somebody just bought my course. Maybe. Yeah. Cool. Well, if any of you that are watching just bought my course, thank you very much. That's pretty cool. If you're interested in the course, you can check it out. The link's in the description, 3dcharacterworkshop.com. I've been running it for 8 years now. That's pretty crazy to hear. 8 years and over 2,000 students. So if you're interested in joining, check it out. Blurring the mask. I'm just masking this off. But before I do this, I want to... Oh, I guess I have this other hand as backup. Okay, we're gonna pose this, bend it at the wrist like so. Kind of turn it a little bit. Yeah, I guess it's... Okay, and I could Z-remesh this too. It makes it a little bit easier to pose when it's lower resolution with subdivisions, but you can pose a Dynameshed mesh or a Sculptress Pro mesh, especially if it's going to be for 3D printing like this guy, because you're just going to decimate it at the end anyway, so it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you like mess with the topology, like I'm just bent the wrist. Probably broke it up inside there, but that's okay. Smoothing this out a little bit. Okay, so now I'm gonna bend. These fingers might be a little too short, but we'll see once I get them posed here. Especially when he's holding that staff, and when I, bend the fingers around that staff, they might be too short. Okay, now the good thing about having all these poly groups is that I can utilize them to pose with. So I just I turn on my gizmo, And then if I hold down Control and just tap on a polygroup, it's going to isolate that with a mask. And now I can unmask the tip of the finger and then blur it a little bit. And then bend it up like this. I think it's bent up a lot. Probably like as far as it can bend naturally. Okay, and then I can do the same thing with this next knuckle. Just kind of mask that off. Blur it out. And the gizmo is like a temporary bone or a temporary pivot point. I just hold down Alt and tap where that bone should be inside there. And your gizmo does not have to be embedded. It doesn't have to be in the middle of the finger, okay? You're rotating it on the plane of the camera. So just move the camera to where you can temporarily bend it. And just put it in the middle of the finger like this and then bend it. You don't have to put it in the middle of that finger. Even though I left it there. You don't have to. The only time you need it in the middle is if you're going to spin it. So if I wanted to spin this finger from this direction, I can put it in the middle and spin it like this. But I don't need to do that with this finger. Okay. I think I want to, look at that wrist. Smooth that out. I think I'm going to bend this up even more. Blur. Maybe not that much. You don't want to blur it too much because you do want to get a natural crease where the bend is happening. If you blur it too much, you're going to get it to look like a hose instead of like a finger. See how it's making that natural crease, and you can kind of put it together to make that crease happen. Mr. Pobbs, hello. Hope your week was a good one. Always learn so much from your sculpts. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. I wanted to look and see how many people are watching now. 30 people. Nice. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Smooth that out. I can also use inflate to inflate the shut, but I like to turn Sculptris Pro off when I do that. Otherwise, it's creating new geometry in that crack, and then it doesn't always inflate shut. Okay. Just kind of look at things here. I'm going to grab this thumb. Well, let's see. I was bending it up more, wasn't I? Yeah, I did that. Okay. But now that I bent it up more, kind of pushed it too far up into that sleeve. And then it caused a kink on the bottom here. I want to fill that sleeve with his wrist, but I don't want to leave any space. There we go. Okay, and now move this knuckle up higher. I was going to grab his thumb and bend it. So the blur is going to kind of, it's like a fall off of a spotlight or something like that. It's like the more you blur it, the softer everything is going to be around it. So I can move it and bend it down like that. Also, another tip is don't be afraid to move it. You know, you're not just stuck with rotating everything. Like meaning like this. Like if something's not looking right, just move it. Even if it stretches out like how long the thing was in the first place. Because you still have to think about it as if you're sculpting. And because you're just kind of sculpting with pose. There's that hand button. It's kind of funny. All right, and then I'm going to just bend the tips of these fingers one at a time until they're done here. And again, I'm using the straight edge of that mask lasso, blurring it a couple times. Now, here's another thing. You can't, see how I can't see through that? So I'm going to kind of guess where the pivot is, like somewhere right here. And I'm snapping it to this other finger. See, it's like snapped to this one. Doesn't matter. I just need it to be lined up with the camera. And then this outer ring is bend along camera camera plane. See that? See how it's bending it? Doesn't matter that it's clear over here. I can even put it way over here and it doesn't matter. So if it's not trying to stick. So if I line that up and see, it's still going to bend along that plane. Doesn't matter how close or how far that gizmo is. Except for it's going to make my camera rotate all crazy. Let's see how it makes this this edge. Now I can kind of, before I unmask it, I can go in and kind of smooth it out. Grab my move brush. Make sure I have that nice crease in that knuckle. And then what I like to do on the top is put a crease through here as well, but it's masked now, so let's use gather and kind of pinch that together. Sometimes if your pinch brush or your gather brush is too big, it's going to pull in the geometry from its neighbors, and you don't always want that. Or it's going to pull in like too much from this side or this side as you're going across. So you just got to be careful. Sometimes you can use it to your advantage. Sometimes it's too much. You can also try turning down the strength of the power of the brush. And always look at it from all sides. Just spin it around. Spin it around. I also have a, and I talk about these things because this YouTube video is sponsored by me. I turn off the ads so you guys don't have to deal with the ads because it's sponsored by me. And I hope you don't mind that I mention my courses and my mentorship every once in a while. I do have a mentorship. And if you're interested in learning more about it, there's a contact on my webpage. Just reach out and say, hey, I want to know more about your mentorship. And I'd be happy to let you know. Or if you're a current student of mine, you can just DM me on Discord. I have a Discord community. That comes with the course. There we go. Now this knuckle is a little too close to the front. But I can tell you a little bit about the mentorship. It lasts a year. As far as how it's set up right now, it may change in the future. But right now it lasts a year. You get a year's worth of feedback, and you can ask me questions, anything you want. I can demo stuff for you. You get access to my network, which I know a lot of people in the industry, and if there's anyone in particular that you want to reach out to, or if you want to use me as a reference, you know, that kind of stuff. It's kind of like having access to a university professor for a year. That's how I like to say it. Because I did teach at a university for a short time. But at a fraction of the cost. I'd say 1/10 of the cost if I were to add it up. There we go. I'm liking that hand. I want to bend the arc around just a little bit more and bend this pinky around a little bit more. So it's all about masking, hiding, showing when you're doing posing. So I'm going to circle it like this. Oh gosh, I hit my pen button. Let's try it again. Circle like this. And I'm just burying that mask up into the palm a little bit so then I can blur it a lot a bit. Invert that. And then I'm trying to get tricky, and I'm going to put the gizmo kind of on that blur, in the middle of that blur. And then I am going to bury it down into the palm because I want to arc it like this. And sometimes that can mess things up, like probably is messing this up right here. So I just need to go in there and fix what it broke. And sometimes it'll kind of mess with the polygons. So I can turn Sculptris Pro back on and just kind of rework that area. Like so. This, I feel like that's too high now. Bring that down. If it looks off, you can just experiment and try stuff until it looks right. And see, now it kinked. Put a kink in the middle. So I want to use the fill brush to fill that back in. And bring that knuckle butt back. Or knuckle volume, whatever you want to call it, back up underneath there. You can also kind of do something like each knuckle, just do a little circle and add a little lump to it, but that's too much detail for this guy. Yeah. And then I want to pull, see the distance here? I just want to kind of pull that thumb down a little bit more and shrink it somewhat. I mean, I like what it looks like from several angles, except for the one that I want to look at it. So I'm going to blur this, invert it, and then put the gizmo here, and then scale it down. And then let's look at it from that camera angle. And then bring it down just a little wider. Hopefully you didn't break it. Yeah, that feels better. That's a funky hand pose. I like it. But now this looks strange to me. See how it's got a kind of a big valley? And if you look at your own thumb to finger, it's anything but a valley. There's kind of a valley that cuts up, kind of cuts up through here, but then it's you know, your bones are underneath there. Whoops, almost threw my mouse. Okay, so let's go to the fill brush, and we'll just kind of fill in this little valley right through here. And then we can use the scrape side of it to kind of scrape this. See that little hiccup right there? You can either use the move brush to bring it out and then smooth it down, or you can still just use the fill brush and scrape it, or the H polish brush to scrape it. And sometimes you scrape it too far, you have to build it back. Scrape it down, build it up. It's like a combination between the move brushes and the fill brushes. It feels pretty good. Okay. That feels pretty good. Get it? Okay. Now I think I want it just a tad larger. The whole hand, just a bit bigger. So when I scale things up, I like to scale them from the origination point, which is the wrist. And this might make the wrist too big and pop out of the sleeve, so I got to be careful, but yeah, about that big. That feels better. And then I just want to turn the whole thing slightly like this. And this finger, looking at it from this angle, this is why you want to look at it from all angles. It looks a little kinked and like painful, so I'm going to use move infinite, which is going to shoot all the way through. And just kind of scoot this direction, just so it relaxes that kind of bend, that kink, so it feels a little more natural. And we got it. Okay. There we go. I like it. Now what we can do too is use this airbrush and grab some of this red tone from here. It's kind of a shadow. Yeah, it looks like I grabbed it, so you can see the preview right there. And then just crank up this RGB intensity a little bit. And then I just want to come in here and warm up the palm, but not with Sculptress Pro on. If your brush is purple, it tells you that Sculptress Pro is turned on. See this? Purple. And if I turn it off, it turns red. So you can tell. So I'm going to make, and as far as like wondering where to put the red, when your bone is close to the surface, it becomes a little bit more yellow and less red, because it's there's less muscle, more skin, and wherever there's like a pad, like your fingers, that means there's more blood and there's more space between the bone and the skin. So that area will be more red. It's like your nose and your ears and things like that. So you can just kind of color all this underside, make it nice and red. And then the back side of your hand is like more of a yellow. Just smooth this little kink out. And that just kind of, and the palm meat right here, because that is literally meat, like your muscles in there. And then you can do, if you want, you can do a little bit of fake ambient occlusion, which is essentially, you can just, in the cracks and crevices, you can start with the skin color and then take it a little bit darker. And then I do want to take these nails and make them a little lighter. But like the insides of these fingers, you can take a little bit red. And it just makes them feel alive, you know? And you can do this with traditional paint after you print it. If you're going to print this out, you can just take an airbrush and just do the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Okay, and I got a little bit of issue right here. It's easy to take care of those things with H polish. So BHP, and then you can polish it right out like that. But even better, if you turn on Sculptress Pro, it will sew it shut. Looks like, yeah, sometimes it makes little, see all these little extra faces? Sometimes it just leaves these rogue faces. You can go through and fix them, but if you care, but at this point, I don't really care too much. Okay, but see, we still have our polygroups, but they're not very clean anymore. So, but we can start with them. So I'm going to grab this color, and then I'm going to go lighter with it, like that maybe. Just say fill and see what that gives us. Yeah, it's not too bad. So I can just kind of isolate all of these. and then invert it and say fill. There we go. It's just a little bit lighter than the hand itself, which is cool. You can put a gradient on it too, which is nice. And then you can just kind of go around everything and do like with this detail brush, just do a little cut underneath. Let's turn off sculpt just for a minute. Just do a little crease underneath each of these nails, just to give it a little bit more ambient occlusion underneath there. See that? Just so it pops in the light. Because we kind of lost some of that just through the natural sculpting of things, you know. See how it's catching that shadow now and separating the nail from the skin. And you can also go around like either with gather or pinch, and you can just like pinch around here like this, and that will kind of gather that poly group together and clean up that chunky edge. Looks like this one's already kind of done. Do it around the fingernail tip too, maybe with a smaller brush so I don't mess up what I just did with the detail brush. You're never going to see this close up, you know. So that's another thing to be aware of is like how far away are you going to actually see your character? Come on, camera. There we go. And then when you're happy with it, see, I get the same kind of red, and it ties the hand and the head together now. So I'm going to do another save as. Hit save next. Yeah. Okay. Now let's do the other hand. Let's see what we got. We got about 15 minutes left. I don't know if we'll get this other hand posed in time, but we'll see. Okay, duplicate. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions. You're awfully quiet today. Okay, so this is the opposite hand, so I gotta mirror it. So on this is my custom menu, by the way. It comes with my free brushes, so if you're interested in grabbing this menu, you can go ahead and get it from my website, 3dcharacterworkshop.com. Basically, it's a bunch of stuff out of the tool menu over here. It's just been condensed, so it's not as overwhelming. And I have mirror right here. And also, if you notice in this menu, I've included the section headers, like the Z remesher, deformation, spotlight projection, so you know exactly where I pulled them from over in the tool menu. Not everything in here is from the tool menu, but most of it is the tool menu. So, hold on a second. It's Peter. All right. So I want to make sure, I don't want to have symmetry on when I'm doing this. Then I'll scale this down to about the same size as that other one. And then get it into place into this wrist slot here. Okay. And then his hand is really kinked. So I have to look at my own hand and see how far I can actually push, like how far can your wrist actually bend. And it can't bend all the way to a 90. It can bend to a little bit further than a 45. So I got to be careful with that. Because if you bend it further than you can in reality, it's going to look off. So I'm going to start with that bend first. Always use yourself as reference. Okay, so blur, blur, blur. And then bend this down. Solo it just so we can kind of see where we're at. We don't want to kink this too much. So bending it at almost a 45, maybe a little bit further. And what that's going to do is, see, it's putting this lump on this side. I like the crease on this side, but this side's not great. So we can just take the move brush and just fix it, smooth it out. You want to keep that flow. Relax this kink a little bit. So it still has the crease, but it's not unnatural crease. Okay. And now it kind of looks like, yeah, that pose is pretty, it's going to be pretty hard to hit. So what I need to do, sometimes what I'll do is I'll take the hand or whatever it is I'm posing, and I'll move it beyond where it naturally feels like it should be according to how it's coming out of that sleeve. I'll just ignore that sleeve, and then I'll sculpt the sleeve or pose the sleeve to match the hand rather than the other way around. It just speeds me up and saves time. And like, see how far away it is from this staff. So I'm gonna nuzzle it. I like the staff positioning, so I'm gonna keep the staff where it is and move the hand closer. Do something like this. And you can always move the gizmo and line it up. Like, say I want to spin it on the palm of the hand and have it come down and be more natural that way. See, and then I'll pose this sleeve to nuzzle in and match up with that wrist. I think I'm gonna have to make it work from about here. This feels broken a little bit, so I have to do my best to fix it in 3D. I'm gonna push it right up against there. Okay, and then that can come down, and his elbow can stick back out. Okay. So now that I have that, then I just kind of approach it with like one finger at a time, right? It's kind of like, how do you eat an elephant? You know, one bite at a time kind of a thing. So I'm just gonna get this palm away from here, and then I'm gonna arc the hand closer. So just like I did with the other hand, I'm going to cut into here like this and blur it out. Ekaterina, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I don't know if I said your name properly. I apologize if I didn't. So I'm just going to arc that hand closed. I can even kind of widen it out a little bit like this. Okay. And then I'm going to point his pointer finger down the length of this. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Go down into that palm and blur it out. Let me show you a trick that my buddy Ronnie showed me. So Ronnie worked for Hasbro for quite some time, and he would pose characters all the time and key them and everything. When you have a mesh this dense, it's quite slow when you mask something off and you try to blur it out. See how sharp this mask edge is. And when you hit blur, it does blur it out, but you have to hit it like 5 times in order for it to really blur. And even then, it's not blurred out enough. So a secret is you can zoom way out, and it's going to be kind of hard to see. And do your best to try and like mask between those fingers and see the blur of that mask now. See, it's like really nice and soft, and you don't have to blur it at all. But I did accidentally grab this finger because it was so small. So now I can come in here and just like unmask this finger. But that's kind of a trick if you want a blurry mask on something that is dense. Just zoom out. I wish you could do that like when you could see it closer, but it is what it is, right? Okay, so I'm going to put the gizmo here. Just kind of move this finger out and point it down the staff like this. You got to be careful because the volume will shrink where your mask is. And I want to spin it. So looking down the length of it like this, put it in the middle, spin it. And then I don't need it to be right exactly on the staff. I'm going to put it kind of on this side so it doesn't feel so stretched out. I mean, you can move your finger pretty wide, you know, without it looking uncomfortable. So I do want it wide, but just not pushed beyond where it's possible. And then I'll just kind of tweak this and adjust it so it looks like he's pushing up against there like that. Actually, if you look at the concept, it starts on one side and goes across the opposite. It's not straight down the staff. It would help if I looked at my concept a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to do that while it's still masked. I'm going to turn it like this and then grab the whole hand and move it back. That feels better. I can also turn on topological and set the fall off range to 2. That way, if I grab this finger, it's not going to grab this one. Or it shouldn't. Okay, now utilizing my polygroups, isolate this. Oops, I need to do this instead and then mask this off. Blur it out. And kind of get from this angle. It's not too often that I sit and pose something on live stream. I'm usually sculpting a head or something. It's kind of a nice change. Usually with fingers, I'll bend the first knuckle of all the fingers first, so that way I can get in there. Okay, I think I need to bend it down just a little bit more. Okay, and it's almost touching the staff. I'm feeling comfortable with that. Clear the mask, do it again. Come on. Blur, blur, blur. I'm going to isolate this so I can see it. So the key is to, like I said, use this gizmo as a temporary bone or a pivot point. Bend it down like this. You want to push your fingers together so there's no gap. And arc them so they aim at each other. And then you can also kind of go in with the inflate brush and inflate them closed like that. He looks like a fancy wizard with his pinky out. Another way to mask fingers off is to show the gizmo and then hold down Control and drag down the finger. But as you can see, it doesn't always give you the precision. And since I have polygroups, I'll do it again from this direction. There we go. But it also gives you a very, very loose mask. So I have to come in here and do the opposite and sharpen it. But see how it still is giving me not what I want. Polygroups are a way better way to go. If you got them. All right, 32 people watching. If you're new here, hello. Again, my name's Shane Olson. I'm a former Disney artist. And now I teach people how to do this full time. So if you like this, give it a like and a follow. And if you want to come hang out with me again, hit that bell so you know whenever I go live. But I usually try and go live every week at the same time. So noon to 2 Pacific time on Tuesdays. And then I also stream over on Max on ZBrush YouTube channel on Thursdays during the same time. So noon to 2 Pacific time over there. Okay, let's take a look at that staff. Okay, I'm going to cheat this a little bit. And I'm going to pull these fingers closer to that staff with Move Infinite. Hopefully I don't mess things up. I'm just barely moving it, just a little bit nudgy. See, it's kind of tweaking these fingers out. Got to be careful of. Okay. So now we can move the next knuckle. So I'm going to go hide these 3 things, mask this off, blur it out, and then bend this down. KT, thank you very much. Will you continue streaming this wizard in the coming weeks? Would be good to see it finished. I'd like to, yeah. I'm having a good time. So, and I rarely stream finishing characters, because I'm kind of moving more towards the mentorship stuff and away from courses. So I'm kind of teaching more on my YouTube channel, showing you more of the process. Because the quickest way you can learn, in my opinion, is through getting feedback on your stuff. And I can go, I can work much deeper with people when it's more of a group coaching or a one-on-one situation versus just people buying my pre-recorded stuff and just kind of doing their own thing with it, you know? I've had success with that, and people have had success with that, which is fine. But I've just had so much more success with my mentorship and mentor students. So I really enjoy it. Okay. So now you can kind of see how this is coming together. And this is going to take some polishing after I pose it, just to make sure, because I treat hands as their own character themselves. You really want to pay attention to them because hands themselves tell a story, right? So you really want to take the time and make sure you tell that story and not just like just have it as a second thought, you know. Hands are just as expressive as faces, in my opinion. See, I'm having these fingers come down and touch the staff. And you want to kind of, you don't want them to intercept each other and then bend, and whenever you bend a finger, you kind of lose volume. So you want to bring that volume back. And then see how it kind of messed up the bend in this one right down here. So you can come in here and just kind of smooth it out. Not that you're going to see it, but it will feel better on the top side if you come in and fix stuff like this. And then I can also use inflate again to inflate that shut. It'll just feel better. And then the last one, this little pinky guy. Blur, blur. And again, you can see that I'm not just rotating. I'm translating each finger as well. Oops. And you'll see me tap the gizmo onto the surface like this, just to give myself an angle for the gizmo. See how it just kind of lost that knuckle. Sometimes I'll isolate it like this, so I can use pinch or gather to pull that up like that without getting the neighbors involved. And let's see, solo this so we can get underneath here. Smooth it out. There we go. See, I just looks like this. It's a little kinked. Whoops. Got a little skewed, I guess is the word. We can kind of straighten out that flow. This is the polish pass I'm talking about. You just kind of want to polish what this looks like. And then something like this, we can just, yeah, see how it's creating this kind of this weird pull. Again, all we have to do is just smooth that out and get rid of it. Same with this down here, we'll just smooth it out. See, whenever I introduce these undulations like this, I try and go back and clean them up. I think that's kind of the biggest difference between an amateur and somebody who's done it for a while, is how much time they take to polish things and make sure it's all smooth and nice. And the best way to get something smooth is to retopologize it, then do subdivisions on it. So in the end, I'll, you know, it depends on what it's for. If it's for 3D print, you're not going to see it that close. You're going to see it like this. So you don't have to, you wouldn't want to pay that too much attention to being crazy smooth. But if it's for a film or a game, you do want to take the time and polish it up like that. Okay, I think I'm going to try and get away with kinking this wrist just a little bit. He's a wizard. He can kink his wrist a little more than normal people. Right? Yeah, that still looks okay. Okay, and then I like that. I need to move this finger down to touch that staff. Plus that staff's really skinny. But anyway, I think this is where I'm going to end it. We got both the hands done. I still need to add some red to this hand. And I want to push this pose a little bit more because this is a great pose with that pinky really twisted in there. And then I still need to pose that thumb to go over the top of it. Then it'll be done. So I guess it's not done. Anyway, yeah, thank you everyone for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. Again, I stream on this channel every Tuesday from noon to 2 Pacific time. And I stream from noon to 2 on Thursdays over on Maxon ZBrush YouTube channel. So yeah, if you like this, give it a like, give it a follow, hit that notification if you want to come hang out with me again. And we'll see you all next Tuesday. And one last thing is I give away these brushes, this user interface, and everything for free over on my website. So if you want to go grab that stuff, it's free. And yeah, there you go. Have a great rest of your week, everybody, and happy sculpting. All right, thank you. Take care. We'll see you all.